This is our news, the weekend edition, and on the broadcast tonight.
Abaco has 3 new homeowners under the age of 30. You can hear from them straight ahead.
Plus, the Deputy Prime Minister says the country is inching away from its heavy dependence on tourism. And find out ways to combat child abuse.
Our news is brought to you by Alive.
Good evening, I'm Andrew Knowles, and thanks so much for joining us. 3 Abaconians under the age of 30 are celebrating home ownership. The 3 new homeowners got their keys as residents in a newly constructed subdivision in Spring City, Abaco, on Friday. Our Jared Higgs spoke with them and filed this report.
I feel overwhelming, excited, and blessed at the same time.
It's a feat that some never accomplish, but these Bahamians under the age of 30 are now homeowners. The keys to the homes in Spring City, Abaco were handed over by Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis during a ceremony on Friday. 28-year-olds Kyle Johnson and Okita Parks, along with 23-year-old Sinclair King, celebrating a major milestone.
It was about a year more of acquiring the funds, but I finally did it.
The journey was somewhat, at a time, discouraging. It was depressing. It was overwhelming. It started off exciting, and then it just started to go. It was a 2-year journey, but I'm glad.
It was hard. I feel like just when I put my down payment, I start shopping for my place,
Now, those homeowners were also asked what advice they would give to young people looking for a place to call theirs.
You're never too young. You're never too young. No matter how long it takes, just keep climbing.
Not stop. I've been working in my job for 10 years. Just keep pushing and pushing. It's worth it at the end.
Do a little dance for us. Reporting for our news, I'm Jared Higgs.
All right, thanks a lot, Jared. Meantime, Minister of Transport and Local Government Renwood Wells revealing that the government is currently in the process of evaluating several government buildings to determine whether they are fit for inhabitants.
The government is involved in a land audit, and the government is also involved in an infrastructural audit, in that we are looking at all government buildings, the state that they're in, whether or not they will be repaired, whether or not they will be government is looking at it, and then government will make a decision about each and every piece of property based on our overall vision and an objective as to where we'd like to see the built environment go.
Well, as a campaign promise, the Free National Movement vowed to move the economy away from relying so heavily on tourism. Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Finance Peter Turnquest said they haven't arrived there yet, but he feels they are close.
So we're making progress, obviously not as quickly as we would like, but if you look even within the tourism sector and how we're trying to diversify that sector and broaden it to a more national perspective, when you look at the work that we're doing in the Small Development Center, Business Development Center, where we're trying to encourage organic, natural, sustainable, renewable type businesses, we are making every effort to ensure or to help facilitate this broadening that we're talking about.
Turnquest said they are focusing on investing in small businesses.
Investment in agriculture, again, trying to broaden this economic base so that we can try to take out some of the peaks and valleys that happen as a result of recessions and global events that has an effect on tourism.
As the much anticipated 2019-2020 budget communication is expected to be tabled in the House of Assembly later this month, the Deputy Prime Minister said we can expect to see more focus on infrastructure.
We are comfortable, we're satisfied that the initiatives that we've taken thus far are bearing fruit, both in terms of, again, the sustainable growth that we're talking about, and two, in the fiscal outturn. We anticipate that we will stay faithful to our plan. There may be some adjustments here and there. I believe that you will see a bit more spending on the infrastructure side, as we recognize that we need to make up some of the gap in that regard. And there's a number of projects that would have been announced previously that you'll see coming to fruition now. So I think if there's going to be a signal that I would send is that you would see more in the infrastructure side.
From the crime beat tonight, we go to Grand Bahama, where police there are busy investigating 2 overnight shootings. A man was at a business establishment on Queens Highway around midnight when he reportedly got into an altercation with another man who produced a handgun and shot him multiple times above the body. The victim was taken to the Rand Memorial Hospital, where he is listed in stable condition. We're told officers do have a male in custody who is assisting with their investigation. Then around 4 this morning, a male reported to police that he was shot while driving. According to reports, the man was traveling in his vehicle on East Settlers Way when a dark-colored vehicle pulled alongside him and shot him, injuring his hand and causing damage to his vehicle. Police continue to investigate this matter. In other news this evening, child abuse is a major problem in the Bahamas. That coming from a senior social services director who was encouraging parents to seek help if needed. Our Jillian Gray tells us more in this report.
As the summer months approach, Senior Assistant Director of Child and Family Services Charlemagne Fernander said parents should plan now for how children will be cared for.
The summer is coming. It's fast approaching. School is closing. Child abuse spikes during the summer when children are at home. I'd like to say they need to be properly supervised. The planning for that needs to be happening now. It should have happened already. How are they going to be supervised to keep them away from predators? To make sure that you know where they are at every time. They are at all times. And supervising children doesn't mean that you let your 12-year-old look after the younger ones. 12 is too young to supervise. They do not have good judgment.
Over the past few weeks, the safety of children has been brought to the forefront after several videos involving minors made their rounds on social media. Fernander said whether it's assistance with behavioral issues or help with keeping a child, parents should not feel alone, as there are many community organizations ready to assist.
Some parents will say, well, I don't have any choice. You have a choice. You have to come and get assistance. I am appealing to churches and civic organizations out there to open open services to persons who need the children to be properly supervised, but make very sure that the persons you put in place to supervise them are vetted, have had their backgrounds checked. The police provide an excellent service for that reason, so that you don't take a child from one situation and put them in another dangerous situation.
Assistant Director in charge of Child Protection, Cheryl Kelly, said when it comes to behavioral issues, sometimes the child is simply a reflection of what the parent did or did not do. While she said she understands the frustration of parents, she would encourage them to pass on morals early.
You have children, we might term it as behavioral issues, but the children just basically trying to be identified and be recognized in an environment where they are forced to be who they're not. And they have never gotten the fundamental training that they would have needed to get from their parents, because some of the parents never got it. So it's really sad to see that you're going on in generations when you're not actually passing on real positive values, etc., and morals and ethics.
Both Kelly and Fernander agreed that child abuse is a major issue in the Bahamas. The Social Services Senior Assistant Director said all parents should take advantage of the department's parenting class, as many are not aware of the difference between punishment and discipline.
Not everybody who creates a child is equipped to parent that child properly. Many of our parents are extremely young, and they haven't gained the skills to deal with children themselves. They probably were not given all that they needed in life in terms of emotional support or guidance or discipline, etc. And by discipline, I do not mean punishment. Those are two totally different things that many people don't recognize. Punishment means that you do not care if the person learns anything. You just want to strike out and punish them. Discipline is meant to be a teaching method. Discipline is meant to teach. And that doesn't necessarily mean that you are striking the child. You're trying to teach them a different way of behaving.
Her advice is to identify what is causing the behavior in order to devise a method to combat it. Reporting for Our News Weekend, I'm Jillian Gray.
All right, thanks a lot, Jillian. Still ahead tonight, celebrations around the Arawak Port's 10th year anniversary a success. That story and more when Our News, the Weekend Edition, returns.